Hey folks, we're going to be looking at isosceles triangles, well, particularly angles in isosceles triangles. Alright, so let's get started. Now, for those of you that have forgotten what an isosceles triangle is, this is when the two base angles are the same, and with isosceles triangles you also have the two sides which are the same length. So with isosceles triangles, you've got two sides that are the same length, and also two angles, which are the base ones, are same. Now, if I, as you can see why it's similar, because if I actually put a line of symmetry through the middle, it's like, the right side of the triangle is a bit of a reflection of the left side. So that's how we know that the sides are equal and the angles are equal. So as you can see, the two base angles are equal. Now, in terms of geometric reasoning, the way you want to write it is you can write it like this: base angles of isosceles triangle. Okay, that's pretty much it. Let's have a look at a couple of examples. So in this example, I'd like to find out what x is. Now looking at it, I can see those two little lines there mean that the two sides are the same. So this is how you actually recognize an isosceles triangle. Usually they'll have like two single lines, or sometimes they might have like two double lines. But in this example, you've got two single lines cutting in the middle of the triangle. So that's basically means that it's an isosceles triangle. So in this case, that angle and that angle, which are the two base angles, they're going to be equal. So in other words, you can simply write x is equal to 50 degrees because base angles of an isosceles triangle are the same. All right, let's go to the next example. This time we've got to figure out x again. And as you can see, those two little triangles two little lines sticking out of the triangle mean that we're actually working with an isosceles triangle. Now we already got 20 degrees, which is that little blue area there. Now we know that base angles in an isosceles triangle are equal. So that means we've got the two blue angles are going to be 20 degrees. Now, if you've been watching this series, you know that angles in a triangle add up to 180 degrees. So we've got angle x plus 20 plus the second 20, because they're base of an isosceles triangle, the angles are equal. All that is equal to 180 degrees. So from here, simplifying, we're going to get x plus 40 equals 180 degrees. Rearranging, we're going to get x is equal to 180 minus 40 degrees. Since simplifying it further, we're going to get x is equal to 140 degrees. Now I know x doesn't look like 140 degrees, but that's because this diagram is actually not drawn to scale. Okay, now in this case we actually used two rules, because one, we used isosceles triangle, the base angles of an isosceles triangle, and we also used angles in a triangle equal to 180 degrees. Now guys, there's multiple ways of writing this. I mean, you'll figure it out as you go along, but in this case I just want to make sure I mention both of my reasons that I used. Alright, let's have a look at another example. So as usual, in this example I want to figure out what x is. Now remember how I talked to you about single lines? This time we've got double lines. So we've got a pair of double lines. Again, this is just another way of showing that this is an isosceles triangle. But the base, it's actually on the side there, on your right side. Alright, let's see what we can do with this. We know that we've got x. We've got to figure out what x is. Let's just put that other angle on the base. So we've got that red angle and red angle. We know that these two red angles are going to be exactly the same. So, once again, we're going to call this x. We can actually use the sum of angles in a triangle, which equals 180 degrees. So we can write x plus 80 degrees equals 180 degrees. From here, simplifying this, we're going to get 2x plus 80 degrees is 180 degrees. Rearranging, we're going to get 2x is equal to 180 degrees, take away 80 degrees, And simplifying it further, we have 2x is equal to 100 degrees. Now dividing 2 on both sides, we get x is equal to 100 over 2, so x is equal to 50 degrees. And as usual, guys, I'm going to write both of my two reasons that I used in this example to solve for x. All right, that's about it for this session, folks. Thank you for watching.